Hey everyone, welcome. Christian here. And yeah, it's been a while since I shared an update, hasn't it? And it's been a busy year. Normally winter is a time to kind of like drop in and kind of get the juices flowing of what creation wants to be birthed in the spring. And yet from the beginning of this year with the Awakened Living Project going straight into the first week of module one of the field facilitator training that I'm running with Rachel, and then being thrust into our first ever intimacy couples only retreat that only finished last week. And then I got sick. I have had the flu these last few days, and I'm just now starting to raise my head above it all, going, what just happened? It felt like Christmas, New Year, and then hurricane of activity. And I'm here in Devon with my parents, which is lovely. Although I haven't had any proper quality time with them yet, given the fact that I'm unwell. I didn't, of course, want to give anything to them or, you know, create a high risk of something bad happening there. But as I'm on the mend, I'm looking forward to spending more quality time. And yeah, I just wanted to share and say hi. Um, and yeah, I wasn't even planning on having an agenda around what I wanted to share. It was more like I wanted to just reach out and let everyone know, yeah, I'm still alive. It's all good. But what I would love to share is just a few highlights. I'm going to go backwards because that's easiest for my memory. So we've just completed the first Intimacy Redefined week-long couples retreat. So this is something that Larissa and I have co-facilitated. And this is the first time the two of us worked together. And we had 9 couples, plus the assistant team and Larissa and I. So we had 22 people together for a week journey at New Eden in the Netherlands. And it was so freaking beautiful. What an incredible group, a group of couples. And this is the first time we ran a couples only retreat. So I have loved the relational deep dives we've done, and we've always allowed singles to come in under the idea that the singles can get such a beautiful imprint of some of the couples' journeys, which I still believe in. I still think it's 100% true. And yet there was a different frequency of relaxation, and maybe that translates as safety when there's only a couples only space. And the retreat was built around a single practice called the connection ritual. This is a practice I've developed over many years, and it's kind of grown into a protocol that any couple can follow. So I'll kind of describe it in a little bit of meta overview, just so you can get an idea of what we're doing here, because I think it's really, really cool. This connection ritual is a practice whereby, whether it's every day, every other day, every week, you agree to come together and you take time to attune to one another, to track what's happening in the body together. And then you share a headline, like a summary of what's actually alive and needed right now in this connection ritual time that you have. And I simplified this by basically having people share whether they're in one of 3 spaces. Do they need to repair? Has there been a rupture? Or do they need to regulate? Maybe their nervous systems are anxious and maybe they've gone through something big and they're not in the mood or in capacity for repair, but they need to regulate. Or do they have the capacity to expand and explore new areas of their relational field? So, for example, if they're in capacity, well regulated, feeling energy, feeling in love, and feeling like, you know what? let's go. Maybe they enter into a polarity practice or a Dom sub practice, something that has an edge to it that might be a bit triggering, but they feel like they're such in a good space. They're open to meeting those edges. Or maybe it's a verbal edge that they want to go to, a dare to share conversation. A conversation maybe that involves a confession or a risk in revealing a part or a shadow or an aspect of self that takes a lot of vulnerability and courage. But in doing so, it brings you closer, especially if you're well met and you're given that love and reassurance and welcoming of all parts. But what was really important about this practice, so that's basically the summary is like you tune in together, you share a headline where you kind of track what's alive, and then you discern what is it that you need right now based on these three options. And then what we did during the week is give people all the, well, not all, because there's so many, like a bunch of tools to meet the most common energies. That's funny. There's a lot of balloons coming up. The most common energies and situations and scenarios around those three areas so that people had the tools to walk away with to practice growing, evolving, and exploring new emotional energetic ranges together. That they left with regulation practices to sync up and relax their nervous systems together. And they left with tools around how to repair when ruptures have occurred. It seems simplistic, but that was so powerful to give this week a single focus and say, all we want you to do is walk away with this structure. And every couple went onto the mat at some point during this week and got to practice that connection ritual and get coached into refining it and bringing more competence, mastery, and transformation through it. So that everybody got to see that process multiple times over and over and over again. And because every couple and every moment in a couple's journey is different, new aliveness would come through that practice. Remember, the structure is literally a riverbank. It doesn't tell people what to do on what day, how, and when. It's actually it's a very broad structure that basically invites consciousness to learn where am I at and am I in capacity for this, or this, and then giving people a lot of choice and a lot of tools, and then they have to discern which tool and which place needs to be applied for the moment that is here and now. And that transmission just felt really good. But what I was left with, and Larissa felt the same way, was like, a week is just not long enough for this. We need to set up time for people to practice. There's so much that needs to be learned just in the art of tracking, just in the ability to discern and speak in parts and own stories, projections, overlays, conclusions, to be able to really know what it is that we need to share a good headline, to be really in leadership around this practice. And what we saw is that if a couple wants to really have a conscious, heart intelligent community, they both need to be wonderful facilitators of their couple bubble. They need to be able to feel themselves and their partner and lead based on who's clearest in the moment and surrender, take charge, bring initiative, have mastery, skill, and the ability to empathically and compassionately in moments guide, coach, lead, feel, and take their partner on a journey. And it's not just the man's responsibility. In our culture, it's often put on like the man leads and the woman follows. No, it's who's clearest, who's in capacity, who's more open, who's connected in that moment to truth. And it began to make sense to me why I've had so much passion around leadership and facilitation, and that it doesn't necessarily mean that facilitators learn how to facilitate circle, but they're learning how to facilitate themselves back into connection. And when they're doing relational work, they're learning how to facilitate one another back into the heart and to grow their intimacy, repair ruptures, regulate, and come into connection. And it just suddenly made a lot of sense. And I kind of got excited about the prospects of the couples work and where that bridge between couples work, leadership, and facilitation lie. Because as some of you may know and remember, I used to run a course called Relationship Mastery. It started off as a 6-month training where we were certifying relationship coaches, but it was mainly through the professional lens of someone learning this as a career. But what I'm thinking now is we need to create like a year-long program where there can be a heart intelligence school for couples, where there can be a combination of men's work and women's work, communication practice, embodiment practice, where there is tools being learned around regulation, repair, and expansion, and that the capacity to track and lead and facilitate all of that is practiced and coached over a period of time so that it really drops in. And that there are multiple times where people come back to New Eden to kind of experience that upgrade and let it really land. So I'm with that place. And you know what? Nearly all the couples at this event were feeling the exact same thing. They were like, yes, that's exactly what's needed. It feels like the time of just like the drop-in workshop to kind of get the next thing just feels a bit flat for me, to be honest. So I'm looking at what can the next deeper dive program look like, where I can, if I could focus all my heart IQ energy and not instead of running 5 or 6 different retreats, but combine it all into one program and that's all I focus on. That's kind of where I'm excited about right now. So I'm not doing 10 things. Maybe I do 3 max, for example. And that will help, relax my system and be less an overwhelm. So yeah, I'm feeling lit up from the last couples retreat. Um, and that was literally just right after me spending the first module 1 of the field that I'm facilitating with Rachel this year. So that's in Glastonbury. So I'm running a facilitator training. Now, this facilitator training, because a lot of people ask, like, oh, is this a circle training? And it's not. I bring in circle as a way to bring cohesive um, resonance into that field and to give an imprint of what facilitating a field will look like. But the actual training isn't meant to give people a mentorship in Heart IQ circle work. It's really Heart IQ circle work is a part of the healing journey that every practitioner needs to take, and a wonderful imprint of what's possible, and a great community practice for keeping the group really cohesive and bringing consciousness and awareness of shadows and just making sure that every facilitator does their own inner work to become an embodied leader. So that was cool too. Not the easiest week, to be honest. It was quite challenging. And I think that's because when people come to New Eden and they sign up for an event that I am solely facilitating, I think it's easier. People know me, they've bought into it, they kind of like, they've paid to be guided. It was slightly different because they're coming for something else. Some people are coming for my work, but not everybody. And therefore, there can be more testing, more of a challenge, more of a pushback, more of like, is this what I want? This is this a vibe? Is this a fit? And it was kind of more of like an interesting space. But to me, that's what grows me professionally is, I felt like I learned so much. So for me, I'm super grateful for that. And I got to be on my home turf in the UK. And it's just module 1. Got 4 more to go. We're all good. So something else that I'm excited about, and I'll end here, otherwise it'll end up in being this long, long update, um, is the somatic shadow and circle work facilitator training, which I run with Mani Crystal. Um, Now, the first thing I want to say is that this event sold out last year, and this year we decided to not only run it in July at New Eden, but also to offer it for the first time in the US, April the 9th to the 15th in Denver in Sunrise Ranch. And just for those people, just a little plug and a little announcement, an FYI, the early bird discount for that particular event ends on the 22nd of February, so on Thursday, after which price hikes up by $400. So if there's anybody that you know in the US that you think would be interested in our level one foundations course, get them to apply before Thursday. Applying successfully and fully locks in that rate. These weeks are really profound. They are full on circle work facilitated training. So this is no longer modality agnostic. What that means is that I teach hard IQ circle work facilitation. Plus, we add that to trauma informed and nervous system informed care and regulation practice and somatic coaching, which is what Mani's speciality is in. And it's amazing. So we're combining modalities. And this first level one is a week long, and it's designed as a foundational imprint. And it's a combination of like a personal development retreat combined with a professional overlay to reveal all of what's happening and to give the basic tools and practices. Now, the one that we're doing in the Netherlands has Mani and I together facilitating. The one in the US, I'm doing fully the live version of that. And then Mani will be offering all of her components online via coaching calls via Zoom. So I'm super excited to do the first US retreat that I've done in a long time in terms of a week-long deep dive. It may have been, God, I can't remember, probably 2014, 2015, maybe the last time I was back in the US doing something like this. So that feels exciting and it's a little bit daunting because I'm always aware of potentially how the culture has shifted. Like, for example, I'm not really a super woke guy. I struggle a little bit. I'm a bit of a dinosaur with the latest woke type of ideology. And even me saying that might be offensive to some people, but I acknowledge that there's a lot for me to kind of become aware of. And I'm aware that that's really, for some people in the US, quite a strong kind of like belief system. So I'm just what I'm, there's a part of me that gets, what am I going to walk into here? So there's a little bit of a curiosity there. But what's exciting is Manny and I are also developing a level two or an advanced version of this course. And the advanced version is actually available to advanced practitioners or those who've already done a lot of hard IQ circle work or have been through the field training with Rachel and me last year. And it's a 2-week training that's happening at New Eden, August the 22nd until September the 5th. And this one will be certified. That's what makes a difference to the foundations level. It's a certified training where you leave with a certification that allows you to be insured as a therapist working in this type of field and modality. And we will be doing a lot of breakouts, hot seats, and training where it's less about being exposed to the tools, but actually practicing and developing and refining mastery and competence in those tools. So really excited about that. Over 2 weeks, we can go really deep into a wonderful field. And yeah, that's happening at the end of August. There's a lot of other things happening, but for now, I just wanted to name that. And like I said, remind people about the early bird that's closing on Thursday. That's probably the most urgent thing for those of you in the US if you want to do our somatic training. And and join me live in Denver, that would be just absolutely epic. And yeah, I'll leave it there for now. Thank you. I apologize for this newsletter video to be a little late. I was sick last week, so normally this would have come out last Thursday, but hey, bringing it out now. And yeah, looking forward to connecting with you all soon in the next community call. And don't ask me when that is, because I don't have it on top of my head. But if you go to heartiq.org and check the upcoming calendar, you'll see a list of all the upcoming call times and dates. All right, take care, and I will speak to you soon.